Hey mathematicians, today we are going to learn about solving problems with simple interest. So simple interest is what happens when you have an investment or a loan and they either charge you interest or they pay you interest, which is a specified rate based on how much you borrowed or how much you invested. And we have a formula for that, and it is interest, which is what we usually calculate for, equals principal, which is the starting amount of money, however much you invest or how much you borrow, times the interest rate, excuse me, and that is written in decimal form, and then times the amount of time the money is invested or borrowed in years. So the only thing that's really different about this is that we're looking at our interest rate in terms of decimals. So if we have, say, 10%, we know that that is 10 out of 100, or 10 hundredths. If we wanted to turn that into a decimal, we could just go to our calculator and plug in 10 divided by 100, and that gets us 0.10, or as we've talked about in class, you're going out to the hundredths place and you have a 10. If it were 5% interest rate, you would have 5 over 100. You go to your calculator, you plug in 5 divided by 100, or when you say the fraction's name, 5/100ths, that sounds like the decimal's name. You put a 5 in the hundredths place. So anytime you need to turn a percent into a decimal, you just do percent divided by 100, which you have in your notes. So question number 1. How much interest does a $318 investment earn at 9% over 1 year? So let's fill in our blank. That was 9%. First, we write our formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. And even though we're writing the letters, I do recommend saying the names that those letters represent to yourself to help remember what they represent. So we're looking for interest, so that's our goal. Principal is how much are we investing, so that's $318. The rate is 9%, and remember, if we're not sure how to write that as a decimal, we can go to our calculator, do 9 divided by 100. That is a 9 in the hundredths place, or 0.09. And then time, they kind of snuck it in here. They didn't write it as a number, they spelled it out. So times 1. So that will tell us our interest. You just punch that into your calculator, and we get $28.62. Okay, so there's our interest on that account in 1 year. That means that if you invested $318, at the end of the year, you would still have your $318 and you would have an additional $28.62. All right, number 2, if you borrow $675 for 6 years at an interest rate of 10%, how much total will you pay back? So let's start by writing our formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. And we're going to first calculate our interest, because to know how much we pay back, we have to know the interest as well as how much we borrowed. So we'll do 675, that's our principal, times our rate is 10%, written as a decimal. We already did that. That is 0.1 or 0.10. And how many years did we borrow it? Our time is 6 years. When we calculate that, we get a total of $405. So you have to pay back everything you borrowed in addition to the interest that they charged you for it. So we would have to pay back the $675 and the $405. So how much total will we pay back? $1,080. So there's some real world math for you. Before you borrow any money, make sure that you are looking at what is your interest rate and how long are you paying it back for, because the longer it takes, the more you're going to pay in interest, and the higher your interest rate, the more you'll pay in interest. All right, number 3 is a you-do problem. If you borrow $421 for 9 years at an interest rate of 4%, how much interest will you pay? So go ahead and pause the video here. When you're ready to check your answer, hit play and come back and check it. Okay, welcome back. You can see that we would pay $151.56 on that borrowed amount. Number 4 is another you-do problem. How much money is in a savings account with a principal of $646 invested at an interest rate of 5% for 2 years? So remember to write out your formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Pause the video here while you do your calculations and press play when you're ready to come back and check your answer. Welcome back. Hopefully you read that question very carefully because they're not just asking what the interest is, they're asking how much money is in that savings account. So you get to have all of the original principal, $646, and the interest, $64.60. So we would add those together and get $710.60. Go ahead and do your reflection here. Fill in what's your key things that you need to know. If you took a quiz on this next year in 8th grade, what would you want in front of your eyeballs to remind you how to do this? And then fill out your self-assessment. 3 stars would be, you could do any problem that looks like these and you'll be okay. 4 stars would be, you could even apply this to a new type of problem you haven't seen before.